Welcome to Court Cousins. Two cousins sharing laughs and talking the team they love, the Orlando Magic. Let's get into it. Welcome everybody to episode 4 of Court Cousins. My name is Kyle. I am joined by my co-host Jason the Pich. On today's show, we have a social media roundup. We're going to play a little fill in the blank. We're going to throw down some bets in wager time. And then we have something special, a special segment at the very end for you all. But first, as we do on every show, we like to have a little social emotional check-in. But on our show, an Orlando Magic podcast, we do it on the scale of a Robin Lopez. So, Pich, how are you doing today for the ROLO Check In?
Well, my ROLO check-in today is a dueling Lopez's, Lopi maybe if you want, and it's not the inclusion of his brother. It's just two faces of him at one time. I've got him here with Milwaukee. You can see on the left, he is looking up and he is looking forward like things are going well. This is me outside of work right now over here. I'm feeling good. I'm looking together and I'm looking up and things are going well. Now, this me over here on the right, this is me at work. Things are gruff. I'm not sure what's happening. I don't think other people are sure what's happening, and it seems like a little bit of a mess. And it's tough sledding, but you know he'll probably still get you 7 points and 7 boards, some way, shape, or form.
Well, I'm sorry
you're
living this dual nature right now. I'm going to stay on your inspirational first Rolo. And I am feeling now, I went a little outside the lines for this one. I found a photo of both Robin and Brooke at Disney World, I believe in Taiwan. And I mean, if you know anything about Rolo, there's no place that he's happier than at a theme park, especially at Disney. And so he and Brooke are coming out of what looks like the Disney store, bags in hand, smiles on face. And that's how I'm feeling right now, man. We've released our first public episode 3. There was so much great feedback. Thank you, everybody who reached out and gave those positive affirmations. Made me feel really good about what we're doing. And, you know, I just do this because I get to hang out with you. And I'm an only child. You're my only cousin in the United States. So you're the closest thing I got to a Brooke Lopez, man. And this is like Disney World for me. So I'm just, having a great time doing this pod as a creative outlet. And, seeing how fans are reacting has been great. Now, let's talk about some fan reactions in the social media roundup, our first segment for today. In our social media roundup, ladies and gentlemen, we scour the internet looking for your funniest or most insightful memes, tweets, posts, and include them here on the show. Please start reaching out to us. We're at court_cousins on most all media. So we'd love to hear from you. All right. So the first one is from Magic Twitter stalwart at MagicMan816, better known as Jeff Weltgod. And we have a mean Skeletor. What is it? Upset Skeletor meme. You're probably seeing these online. And MagicMan816 writes, Franz hate tonight is unbelievable. I think this is after game 2. And Angry Skeletor says, y'all gave Aaron Gordon 7 years of patience, but won't give Franz at least his rookie preseason? All reclined. And then he runs off. Until we meet again. How do you feel about Skeletor, Pich?
Skeletor is arguably the best part of He-Man. I mean, I don't think anybody was really ever interested in him. Castle Grayskull's overrated. Skeletor all the way. One of the best bad guys. Definitely an underrated villain. When you're talking about all-time villains, Skeletor not getting enough credit. So he's doing some of his best work with memes right now, and this is another one of those. But I gotta say, I disagree here a little bit because I didn't give Aaron Gordon 7 years. That's way too long. I was pretty much over Aaron Gordon after maybe year 3 or 4. I was like, okay, if you can't win the slam dunk championship, I have no interest in you. Like, no. It's all he was good for was dunking. I was over him, but I am gonna say that I'm going to give Franz a lot more time than just this preseason rookie time. I'm not loving what I'm seeing from him right now. I'm not sure where he's going to fit in, but he's not going to get 7 years from me, but I'm going to give him at least a year or two and see if he can develop down the road. He may have a little bit of a JJ Redick thing going where it's going to take him a while to get going. I'm not positive, but that's kind of how I feel about it.
I felt the Franz hate starting to bubble in my gut. But then I thought, no, patience, temperance, Kyle, and it was able to subdue the monster. But I did see a lot of it out there. And I don't think it's on Franz. I think it's because he was picked at 8, and that comes with a different level of expectation. I think if we had gotten him 15 through 20, we would be feeling fine. And we're just let him develop. He's going to grow into it. But the expectation of being a top 10 guy, I think in this instance, is what's driving some of this worry or anxiety, because you expect a guy that's in the top 10 to kind of step in and be assertive. And Franz is going to take a year, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. I think people need to look at this less like, oh, it's a top 10 pick, he needs to produce immediately, and look at it more as this is our second pick. You know, we got Suggs first. He's the one that we're going to need to do stuff immediately. We can let him develop. We have that time. You'd like to think you get a better player a little higher, but I don't know how deep this draft is. Time will tell. But let's give him a little bit more time, I say.
I think Franz is going to be a really good NBA player, an above average starter for certain. I've loved some of the defense that we've seen him playing in these preseason games. And in game 3 against the Spurs, he knocked down a couple triples too. So you can see the path before him. And so we'll just, in what God will trust, and just trust in the front office that they saw something in this kid. But I do think it's going to take a little while, and that's okay. He'll have time to develop. So on to Reddit now. We were on Twitter, and now we're going over to Reddit. Shout out to @Migzors on Reddit. He is the moderator there. So thanks for everything that you and the moderators do for that. On Reddit, there was a GIF. I'm not sure what it is. What do you have?
It's GIF.
It's GIF. We'll go GIF.
I'm pretty sure it's GIF. Yeah.
There's a GIF. I'm not sure when it's from. Probably 2 years ago, of Jonathan Isaac meeting the Stifle Tower at the rim, Rudy Gobert, and swatting it out of there. Not many rim rockers like Rudy Gobert out there, and Jonathan Isaac is putting him away. We just hope that he's going to get back to this. But the comments are what make this hilarious. So Ajax0626 writes, met him at the rim like Gobert was the vaccine. And Byrie Swerving writes, now that I think about it, J.I. has always had a tendency to reject shots. This should have been obvious. What say you, Pich?
I mean, this is great banter and fantastic comments. I mean, for all the negative stuff you've heard about comment sections, this is the exact opposite. This is great wordplay. It's tons of fun. No matter how you feel about this, it's pretty funny. It's also pretty funny that the guy that kind of introduced COVID to the NBA is the one that's getting rejected by him in this. So it's a nice tie-in all the way around. I mean, it'd be hard to script or write a better kind of setup and joke and picture than this.
And I put, a regular comment below somewhere on this feed. I just hope that we see this player again. Even, 85, 90% of what this player was is still a great player in the NBA. So we're just hoping that Jonathan Isaac gets back and healthy, and he's on the court soon. Next post. This one is back to Twitter from @MLermo. This is from Mike. And Mike was, nice enough to help us organize ourselves moving into this season. Mm-hmm. And he helped us with a Venn diagram. We can draw 2 things to compare and contrast them. What's the same, what's different. So Mike writes, in anticipation of the upcoming NBA season, I made this chart to help everyone keep Orlando Magic straight. Mm-hmm. And in our Venn diagram, we have on one side Wagner's, and on the other side, Bamba. Franz all alone in the Just Wagner place. And in the middle, we have 2 Mo's, a Mo Bamba and a Mo Wagner. That's helpful.
He spent as much time on this diagram as you should. It's quick. It's fun. You look at it, you have a chuckle. again, this is one of the good things of social media for all the bad for all the bad press it gets. This is a good, light, and fun one, and it's out there. You got to just find the good stuff, block the hate, and this one's fun.
Yeah, I don't envy David Steele, our play-by-play guy, if and when we have both the Wagners out there and Mo. That's going to be quite the tongue twister, perhaps.
It doesn't sound like an enviable position at all, but if they're both playing well, then give me Mo.
David Steele is a professional. Godspeed, sir. The next post is on Instagram. I think you pulled this one, Pich, from Orlando Magic HQ. Shout out to the Ozone podcast. They do a great job there. And they put together a great graphic of the Ring the Bell with Coach Mosley on it and Jalen Suggs on it, the big blue bell in the middle. And it writes, Coach Jamal Mosley has installed a magic blue bell in the Advent Health Practice Facility that gets rung when players make quote unquote winning plays, hustle plays in practice. Now, this has been talked about, Pich, but we haven't yet talked about it on the pod. What do you think about the blue bell?
I'm for anything that builds camaraderie between teams. If there's anything I've seen over the last month of really digging into the team and seeing what they're doing, it looks like they have good team camaraderie. They're all getting along, they're having fun. The veterans are seem to be mixing well with the young guys, and that's great. And some teams will do like a hard hat for the player who worked the hardest. Some will do a belt. Whatever brings people together, I'm for. So if this bell's working, I think it's great. And I also love that Suggs is on this graphic because I feel like he is the one I'm seeing a lot of hustle plays from in the preseason so far, and I'm loving that, and I hope it spreads to the team. And if this bell thing catches off, I say let's get all kinds of bells in the arena when we have a home game. Let's sign Raja Bell. Let's do everything we can to get bells in there. We'll get sponsorship from Taco Bell. Let's go all the way. Let's run for the border and put bells all over this place. You're welcome for the marketing campaign, Orlando Magic. Bells, do it.
Oh my God, man. I hope when we go down for Reddit night on January 23rd that there's bells in the arena. That is a great idea. No cost to you, marketing department, from Pich. Yeah, I can appreciate a symbol and a metaphor being an English teacher. And also trying to be a leader myself, I really can see the value in what Jamal Mosley is trying to do. Energy is high right now, like you said, but they're going to be dog days. We're at the beginning of the season. Hopes are high. Everyone's energetic. It's going to get tough. And Coach Mosley is already trying to build those systems, build the mindset in our team that I think will be really beneficial in those difficult times. I love seeing him up on the sideline this past preseason game, much more animated than I noticed before, really coaching up the guys, really cheering up the guys. And I think that this is what this young, talented team is really craving, that type of leadership. I think Weltman hit it on the head, bringing in Coach Jamal Mosley.
I agree. I think it's going the right way. The key will be is that whether they're still ringing the bell when they get 30, 40 games in the season and they only have like 1 or 2 wins and stuff like this. Are they still going to have that hunger? Because I feel like if they have that, it's going to probably translate to wins. And by the way, I heard you mention that you're an English teacher. That's weird. That never comes up on the show.
Do I lean into that trope too hard? Dang.
I very rarely mention my job.
You have before, though. I just, it just comes out of me, man. Us teachers, we just talk about it. Dude. We just talk about it. All right. Up next, we're going to play a game for you English lovers out there, for you wordsmiths, for you Shakespeare's. We're going to play a little fill in the blank. This is a favorite game on sports talk radio shows. So we're going to try our hand at it. And it's
I also really enjoy them. I also enjoy a good Mad Lib, and I feel like this is
oh yeah, this is like your wet dream if you're a Mad Lib guy. Here you go. So it's just how it sounds, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to say some statements, but there'll be a blank in the middle or somewhere in there, and myself and Pich will have to fill in the blank. So I'll toss this one to you, Pich. It was a blank decision to sign Etuan Moore.
I'm gonna say peculiar. I I know we discussed it a little between ourselves, or maybe on an early show we didn't release, but it seems odd. Seems like we've got a lot of guards. Don't know why you're bringing him in. I don't know where he's going to fit. That could be said for a lot of our guards. Honestly, at some point, some people are gonna have to go down to Lakeland or something because there's too many guards, not enough playing time. I get that he's familiar with the area and the team. I think they brought him in for a veteran presence, which could be helpful. But as far as being helpful in the actual court, I don't really see it. I guess if you had money laying around and you had a spot to fill, okay, but it didn't seem necessary to me. So I'm going to say peculiar. What are you? What word are you throwing in?
I agree with you, Pich. I thought we needed more depth at the 3. Someone who at least had some length for a 3-4 position. But I'm going to say it was. So I'm going to say it was a practice court decision to sign Etuan Moore, because I just think that the thinking from Jeff Weltman and the administration for our team is, let's bring in a guy who can help Jalen Suggs compete, who can help RJ Hampton and Cole Anthony compete. And maybe Etuan Moore. I mean, I was not heartened by what we've seen from Etuan Moore. You said it best when you said in some of these preseason games, we don't need Etuan Moore right now. We need Etuan less. He is not playing well. He looked confused and lost. And as a veteran player, I thought he would bring some consistency and some calmness. And he seems so far to have brought the opposite. I'm not saying that's going to happen all season, but I was definitely surprised. And I'm just hoping that Weltman in the front office are thinking, even if it's one skill or one point guard trait, one guard trait that he can elucidate or teach to RJ, Cole, and Jalen, that is one more skill that they didn't have before that they're going to have moving on. If we're banking our franchise and betting our franchise right now on guard play, instead of bringing in a wing, let's bring in another guard who can help tutor them up, along with MCW, along with Gary Harris, along with Terrence Ross. So it's kind of with Markelle Fultz even. This is kind of teaching by assembly. There's a bunch of veteran guards here to kind of uplift our young guys, and I'm hoping that that's what will happen.
All right. I mean, we were looking for an adjective in this blank and you hit us with a noun. So I just want to say from a part of speech way that something's missing there, but then you dropped a big word nobody knew and had to Google. Yeah. So I think you kind of made up for it.
Well, how you going English teacher on me? You're talking about parts of speech. I'm the one that's supposed to be the stickler.
Hey, my mom corrected my speech a lot of the times growing up too, so I've been there. I've done that. I have some college when I fill out my form, and most of those classes were English classes. So let's go, buddy. Let me hit you up with the next one.
Okay.
Blank's right at the beginning on this one. Blank should be the starting center for the Magic now, going into the season.
Okay. I mean, I'm going to go with the easy one. It's going to be Wendell Carter. I think that he's just more even in his play. Although Mo is not far behind for me, ladies and gentlemen. I really like, minus the second game where he fouled out in, I think, 12 minutes of play. that takes skill to do. I'm still not quite sure how he pulled that, but he did it. His third game was really solid, and he had a hot fourth quarter. He had a really nice stat line. But I am just seeing the little things out of Mo. And what I'm talking about is just that booking it, hustle back down the court that we didn't really see, hustling in and out of the game that we didn't really see before. And he's going straight up and down with his defense. So many times what frustrated me most with Mo is he'd get out of position or something, and then he'd kind of lunge at a shooter and bite on a fake and just get in foul trouble constantly. But he's been doing a much, much better job going vertical, and I don't think he's far behind. I don't know how this turned into a Mo Bamba question when my answer to this was Wendell Carter is going to be the starting center on day one.
All right. Well, I'm also going to put the same name in the blank here because I'm hitting you from a different direction that I don't think is going to be a real shock to any Magic fans who have watched some of these first few games. But I want Mo at the 4, and I want Wendell at 5, and I want them both playing together. You were just talking about his defense, but I saw a couple of things in the Spurs highlights and in some of the other games where he if he's playing a center that can stretch the floor, he doesn't really get up on him for that shot. He kind of lets them shoot from out there. He needs to get in on that a little more because he's going to run into centers that are going to stretch that floor. Interior, I feel like he's good and he's going to get things done in there. And I like what I've seen Mo from a Rashard Lewisy standpoint of I can stretch the floor, I can shoot, I can make a basket. So yeah, I got to go with Carter here, mostly because I feel like I want to see Mo and Carter in there right now. I think that's best for business.
Yeah, that's the starting lineup that they trotted out there for the Spurs game, and it did work pretty well. There was a lot of length out there, but you just got to wonder what's going to happen when Ji comes back, hopefully healthy.
I mean, you mentioned Mo fouling out. I think that referee was from Oklahoma and they were getting ready for the Red River shootout. And he was just like, hey, man, I'm just going to put 6 on this guy. But hey, you get 6, you might as well use him. It's the preseason. You got to practice fouling too. I'm okay with it.
All right, I'll throw the next one to you. Cole Anthony, and this one is I already know where I'm going with this one. Cole Anthony's moments where he goes rogue make me feel blank.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to respectfully pass my time to you here at the beginning. I would like to go second on this one. I know this is a hot button issue for you, so I'd like to hear what you have to say.
Oh my God, man. We had such a good time. We've been watching the games together, and that's been a lot of fun just riffing and talking about what's going on the screen. And a number of times when Cole just starts kind of pounding the ball into the parquet floor and just eats it, kind of becomes a little bit of a vortex or goes a little bit crazy down into the lane into the tall trees, and I'm pulling my hair out. What is he doing? Or he's stepping back into this crazy deep 3-point shot. He plays in this way that has so much energy and passion, which is something I love about Cole. I mean, he is a great guy on the team, but his first season, he wasn't super efficient from the floor, and you see these kind of erratic movements. But Pich, so I will say Cole Anthony's moments where he goes rogue make me feel spasmodic. I feel like this is okay, look it up, kids, in the Google machine. Spasmodic. It's one of my favorite words from one of my favorite authors, Aldous Huxley. It means to like seize up or to go crazy, so he makes me feel that way, but he shut me up almost every single time. When I was feeling spasmodic, the 3 would go in or he'd go in and draw the foul. So you know what, Cole? Keep doing you, buddy. And I'm just going to sit back and watch.
All right. Well, spasmodic. That's probably where the term spaz came from, I'm guessing, but
there you
makes
go.
sense. For me, Cole Anthony's moments where he goes rogue, they make me feel alive. I love watching him dribble around and do manic stuff because, this isn't game 7 of the NBA finals. It's the preseason and eventually it's going to be the regular season. And yeah, more times than not, it kind of works out. So it's like, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you take a look at some of the stuff that Curry was doing when he was early on, you'd be like doing the same thing where you're like, oh, what's he doing? And he's like, oh, okay. Well, then eventually you're just like, oh yeah, you can throw it up from anywhere in the gym and we're totally fine with it. So it's like Cole Anthony doesn't have that level of respect yet, but you can get there. And that's kind of the way some of the guys in the NBA are going. Look at Trae Young. Some of these things are just like, you just take over and you make stuff happen. Eventually people want to crash on him. Then there's open men. I'm all for it. It makes me feel alive. I love watching him. He's a little spastic guy hanging around the court out there, but it's fun. His hair's flying all over the place. It's a good time.
Absolutely, man. I love that guy to death. Hope he stays for a while. So, Pish, by season's end, I will feel blank about this Orlando Magic season. Asking to project into the future here. Pish Damas.
Well, I'm gonna feel disappointed most likely, and I shouldn't, but I will because my standards are high. So I feel like even if they do better than intended, I'm going to be disappointed with it. I mean, if you're a team that everybody automatically comes to town and thinks they're chalking up a win, which at this point we are, it's going to be disappointing. You're never going to look back at the season and long for this season. You're not going to be like, oh man, things back in 21-22, man, that was such a good season. Like that let's be honest, that's not going to happen. So therefore I got to say disappointed, but mostly that's on me because I have a high standard.
I will play the other side of that coin, my friend. By season end, I will feel optimistic about this Orlando Magic season, and it kind of makes sense. We're yin and yang a lot of times on this type of issue. You're the reality check, and I'm the blind optimism. And I'm the guy who was excited about the big Baby Davis years. I'm the guy from the meme who every year was saying, this is Aaron Gordon's year. He's going to take the leap. That was me. Okay. So I am going to be the guy at the end of this year that is saying, hey, the young guys are developing really well. Isaac and Fultz, fingers crossed, everything crossed, were healthy, and now they're going to be back at 100% start of next season. We're getting a good draft pick. It's all coming together. We're gonna make the playoffs next year. That's gonna be me at the end of this year. That's just how I'm wired, Pich.
I get that, and as we talked about in our a pilot episode, which may never air, I talked a little bit about smart market teams and where you're at, and there comes a point when you like those teams where you're sick of hearing that new slogan every year where it's like sky's the limit or watch us rise, and it's like at some point you have to actually rise and be there. And I think like Magic fans are getting to that point where it's like we'd like a good we need like some good positivity and like a playoff run, like not just making it because the East is bad, but like feeling like we could win a series. Like, at a certain point it gets old. I feel like we know we're rebuilding, and obviously there's always that, well, we're going to get a high draft pick. Some guys are going to come back from injury, but it feels like those have been the narratives of the last few seasons for the Magic. So it needs to be a different narrative going into next season. And if it's not, then the disappointment won't feel optimistic to me at all. I feel like I could be disappointed this season, but very much be optimistic going into next season, depending on how things fold out. I'm leaving some room.
It will definitely make for some interesting conversations at the end of the year. Me on one side, you on the other, and we'll see what comes out.
It's like when you order coffee and you ask for them to leave your room. I'm leaving some room there. Gonna maybe add some cream. It'll rise to the top. I'm not going to mix it in. I don't even like coffee. I don't know why I went with this reference. Moving on.
It's all right, Pish. We all make mistakes. And, when you make a mistake on this pod, we can go back and edit. But sometimes when you're writing, you make a mistake and you want to clear it up. That's why today is sponsored by Bix Whiteout. They're your friendly friend there when you make a mistake to just white it out and start over. Because life is all about new beginnings. Bic Whiteout.
Wow. What a sponsor. Unbelievable.
Yeah. They just started sponsoring.
Make sure your errors are privileged with Whiteout.
Yeah, you would have thought they wouldn't be interested in a digital show because, they're tactile, but they really love what we do. And, so everyone go out there, get your Bic Whiteout. 10% of all proceeds from Bic Whiteout go to this pod.
Ooh. I don't think you can make that claim. Is that white spelled W-I-T-E? Can we get a spell check on that?
Yeah, well, it's whiteout, not a spell checker. Here you go. Look at that stuff.
That seems like that's spelled incorrectly to me, but
Okay, let's go on to our next segment where we put our money where our mouths are. Or at least I do, because I'm the degenerate in this crew. Wager time.
So, hey, are we gonna maybe call this time? We could call this Wager time.
Like Wagner, like Wagner. Moritz and Franz Wagner. It'd be Wager time. I just like saying. It.
Okay. Like when I see that was the first thing that popped into my head because I'm now taught that W's are V's. Thank you, Germany.
Thank you for your V's and your efficient vehicles. It's very good. All right, we're just gonna leave that there. So, in Wager time, we're going to go over some of the lines, some of the prop bets, some of the over-unders that are for our Magic team and Magic adjacent bets. So today, and I know, Pish, don't get mad at me. We did talk about this, I believe, on our first ever episode. And you mentioned earlier that has not been released to the public. Our audio is still not in great shape, but maybe we'll release it later if folks are interested. On that first episode, we both talked about the over-under for wins. Right now, most sports books have the Orlando Magic at 22.5 wins. And I know on that first pod, I think maybe just because it was our first one, we were both feeling really giddy and optimistic for the season. I think we both were kind of leaning over. I don't recall exactly, but, and I'm sorry to do this to you, Pich. When I actually came time to put my money down, I went under. I went under.
You don't have to apologize to me. You have to apologize to your Orlando Magic. When you see them at some point this year, you're going to have to explain to them that you have the under, and that'll be on you. And I'll be over here going, hey, man, I think you guys are winning more than 22 and a half games. Let's go.
And I know we just got done talking about how I'm the optimist and you're the realist. And I don't mean to be a sore sport. I don't mean to be a malcontent. I don't mean to be a grouch. But these preseason games have really drilled home to me how much of a development year this is going to be. I've also watched a little bit of, the Pistons and the Cavaliers, and I just think they're further along than we are right now. They've got some more guys than we do. We've got guys coming back off of injury, and someone's got to take the L's. There's always a punching bag, and unfortunately, I think that may be us. I just think that, hopefully we'll see the growth, we'll see the spurts, but I just don't feel like we're going to know how to win. A young team, that's right. What you got to learn. You got to learn how to win, and that takes time.
Hey, keep politely throwing out the maybes and the might be's. Look, we're going to be a punching bag, but a punching bag can still win more than 22 and a half games. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm not saying we're going to blow this out of the water and get 40 wins or anything crazy like that. I'm saying I think we can get 25 wins. I don't think it's that crazy a concept. I think we could even get 27 wins. Ooh, scarily get a couple more in there. But I just think we can get more than those amount of wins. There's some other bad teams, or you catch a team having a bad day. I just feel like odds are there's 82 games in a season, and you're going to tell me that they're only going to win 22 and a half games. Like, it just doesn't seem. I know they're going to still eat a bunch of L's. Don't get me wrong. They're going to be serving it up nice. I mean, I'm sure Salt Bay is going to be over here doing one of these numbers, rubbing stuff off all over those L's. But I still feel like they can get a number of W's that is higher than 22 and a half. And I feel pretty good about it. If I was a betting man, I'd put a little money down. I don't know what the odds are, but I'd do it.
Maybe you're out there and you're saying, Kyle, how can I be a Magic fan and just bet under 22 and a half wins? To Pich's point, I just can't. I got to believe more in my team. And to you, I say there is a bet out there for you. I checked DraftKings and a couple other sports books, and this is where the odds are juicy, ladies and gentlemen. I am definitely putting some money on this because I do have that optimism. I do think that if it all breaks right, J.I. comes back in pretty good health and gets up to speed fast. Markelle comes back with Chuma and, Terrence and Gary Harris and Jalen Suggs ascendancy. I think we have some good players, and I think we go pretty deep. I think we can maybe challenge, if everything breaks right and a couple other teams get injury. So here's the bet. The odds are for the 10th spot in the Eastern Conference, meaning the last team for the play-in into the playoff, plus 18,000 that the Magic will get that 10th seed. That means, ladies and gentlemen, if you put down $100, you win 18,000. Or what I'm going to do, I'm going to put $10 down on it and I win 1,800. If you're feeling super confident about our Orlando Magic, our odds for 9th place are plus 25,000. So put down $10, win 2,500. I'm going to put 10 on that too. Just cause, if it all breaks right, woo, $10 out the door, not a big deal, but 2,500 coming in sounds pretty nice.
First of all, side note, almost everything we do on this show should be just because we're court cousins. But I love the idea of betting something less than like what you would pay for a new video game and winning thousands of dollars for it. So even though I'm not a big betting man, I'm going to put my stamp of approval on this stuff. Anytime the odds are this big, why not take a chance?
Why not, right? Why not? So I'm going to kind of hedge those two bets. I'm going to bet the under for my kind of realistic, rational side, but then I'm going to, on the flip side, bet just small amounts on that 10th and 9th. So it is possible that I could lose both, but, I think likely, if I hit that over, I'm not going to be, if I hit that 18 plus 18,000 for 10th place,
right,
I'm not going to care how much money I put down on the under at all. And I'm not going to put a lot, but
if you
I'm trying to
change your
play both
mind,
sides.
I'll be first in line.
All right.
I can just hear
So
that song going through my head right now. Take a chance on me. Let's go.
we also want to bet some player props and some player lines. How many points, how many rebounds, that type of thing will players get in given games, or in a given season. Now, unfortunately, our Orlando Magic do not have, as of right now, any preeminent players that are worthy of these sports books to even put odds on the points per game they will average all season.
That's not
You
a good
heard,
sign, by the way.
no, that is not a good sign. That gets back to my under call. It's looking good. There are no Magic player odds for points per game right now for the season, but we do have an ex Magic beloved individual, Nikola Vucevic, who is in DraftKings Sportsbook at 21.8 points per game for the season. Now, how are you thinking about that, Pich? You think Vooch is going to go to Chi-Town and average essentially 22 this year?
No, I don't know. I mean, it depends on a lot of things. I would have to say no because everyone tells me they have a lot of good young players on the Bulls, and those guys are going to be getting buckets. But honestly, I don't think he's going to get that high. I think he could come in at like maybe even 17, 18 points a game just because I feel like the other guys will be scoring on that team. If I had to go one way or the other, I'm going with the under here.
Pish, I'm gonna agree with you on this. I'm gonna bet the under on Nikola Vucevic 21.8 points per game. Just as a little reference, last year before he was traded, he was averaging 23.4 points per game with the Magic. So 2 points higher than the line is being set right now. Once he was traded, he averaged 21.5, which is zero point 0.3 less than the line right now. But, he's going to a new team, getting acclimated. That makes sense. I just feel like you touched on that with Lonzo Ball being added, and by the way, he is balling out, forgive the pun. I mean, he is shooting a high percentage from three. He is dishing. He's putting mud on New Orleans' face. They are not looking good letting him get away. That's for sure. He is fitting in really well with the Chicago Bulls. He's looking like he could be a 20-point per game scorer. With Zach LaVine, who is going to put up close to 30 potentially, and DeMar DeRozan, who is not shy of shooting. Those three guys carrying the offensive burden, we fed Vooch last season. I mean, he was our only consistent guy, and he was only averaging 23.4 on our Magic team last year. I just can't see him going to a team that's loaded with scorers, him getting to 21.8. I mean, they want to play fast, so that'll give more opportunities, but I'm going to bet the under on Nikola Vucevic at 21.8 points per game because there's only one rock to go around. And I think he's going to be awesome for that team, just not maybe the primary scorer, obviously. So that has been wager time, ladies and gentlemen. That's all the wagers we have for today. What?
Hold up.
What's wrong, Pish? What do you mean?
We actually are going to be starting our own sports book here at Court Cousins. And
what?
I think it's time. I think it's time for us to start a sports book where we can have a competition between you and I. We'll do it every two shows. The winner of whoever has the most points will be considered the champion, and they will have that championship until someone can beat them. And as a matter of fact,
ooh, what do you got? Oh, there's that beauty right there.
oh,
glorious.
I think this can be held by the title holder. I won't put it over my shoulder until I've earned it, but I know I won't have to wait very long.
False. I'm coming for that. But for our listeners, Pish has a beautiful wrestling title belt. I mean, that thing is legit. That thing is Pish is a huge wrestling fan, so that is a legit belt. And he has customized it with the Orlando Magic logo. So we have our own Orlando Magic championship belt that will soon be living with me.
Yeah, we'll see about that, friend. This is actually metal too. This is not one of those plastic kids' toys ones. This is a real deal. and it will represent whoever is the champion of knowing the Orlando Magic based on the sports book day. By the way, you and I are going to come up with these two each challenges for the other one, and whoever is more successful at the end of 2 months will be the champion. Any ties, the champion will remain the champion. That's the way it goes. That's called champion's advantage, right there. So
All right.
let's kick it. Let's kick it off. I'll kick it off with my first challenge to Yi.
Okay.
The Magic season is going to start. We're going to have at least 4 games done by the time we release the next episode, 4 regular season games. I'm setting the over under for Magic wins in those first 4 games at 0.5, which doesn't leave you a lot of room here. You're either telling me whether you think the Magic are going to win one of these games or they're not. I'll tell you that they're playing at San Antonio, then they're playing versus New York at home, the Knicks, then they're at the Knicks, and then they're at Miami. So what say ye?
That is, I mean, I just bet the under on 22.5 wins. So I think, but you know what? The one I really want to hit is that plus 18,000 10th place. So I'm going to be optimistic, Magic fan Kyle. And I'm going to say that we're going to steal 1 win in there. We'll get 1 win in our first 4 games. So that means if the Magic win one of their next 4 games, that's a point for me. If they don't win one of their next 4 games, that's a point for you in the championship.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So let me try this on, Pich. So I'll propose a made up line from our Court Cousins Sportsbook. Here we go. This one is Terrence Ross will average 18 points per game through the first 4 games. You take the over or under on 18 points for Terrence Ross.
Oof. That's a good line. He's going to be on the court probably a lot in the first 4 games, so you got to figure 18's not crazy. But man, I don't think he's going to go over because he may get locked up one or 2 games. So I'm going to take the under here.
Ooh, I like it. Thank you, Pich. You played right into my hands. I wanted that over. I know Terrence on his podcast was talking about how he's dealing with some back stuff over the summer, but he's looking good. And he's our best scorer easily. So I think he's going to carry a little bit more of the scoring load than we think. And I thank you for that gift point, Pich. What line do you have for me now, sir?
We shall see about that. Let me propose the next one to you. I say Wendell Carter Jr. will average 9.5 rebounds during the first 4 games. What say you?
Okay, well, this goes back to our fill in the blank segment. I do think Wendell Carter is going to be that starter. I hope that Chuma Okeke is good for the first game. He's dealing with that bruised hip. I'm not sure, though. You know, the front office likes not to rush people back. If he's playing at the 4, then we won't see that Wendell Carter Mo Bamba pairing that we saw in the preseason game 3. And I don't think we're going to see a lot of that. I think it's going to be Wendell and then backed up by Mo. But you could see some spurts of them on the floor together, which might take away from Wendell's rebounds. But I think he's going to be getting starter minutes. No, you know what? I'm going to go under on this because I'm hoping that Chuma is going to be back playing at the 4. And Mo has been playing really well, and I think he's earning some extra minutes. So I don't think Wendell is going to be getting typical starter minutes. I think it's going to be more split. And that will, just because of time, not because he has the ability to get over 10 rebounds or 9.5. I'm going to say under 9.5 in the first week or first 4 games.
I posed this hoping that you would take the under. So now you have fed into my want.
All right. Last one. And this is crazy that we even have created this imaginary line because you don't really talk about guards getting blocks. I know you talked about it in your Magic the Card Gathering segment from last episode where we had a tasty block from Nick Anderson on little old Johnny Stockton. But Jalen Suggs has been impressing me more than anything on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, talk about ringing blue bell plays. He's been getting a bunch. He is active. He's averaging one block per game right now. He had a game with 2, one game with 0, and the others had 1, I believe. So he's averaging 1 block per game. So my line to you is, do you think he will sustain? Is he going to average 0.5 blocks per game for the first 4 games? You say over or under?
Wow. Well, this is a fun one because when you really think about it, he's got to get 3 blocks in 4 games. And so far, I've seen him get 3 blocks in 3 games. So I'm going to take the over here. I'm going to bet on him to be that kind of active. I don't know if it would last over the course of a whole season. I'm not getting that crazy about it, but and for a man this small, he can block the ball well. He's got ups, and I think he's going to be very active in these first 4 games. I want to show the league what he can do. So I think he's good for 3. I'm taking the over here.
Oh man, I can't wait to take that belt from you, man. 2 weeks, we'll check in. We'll see how our Court Cousins sportsbook went and how our championship is going. But that's all for us today, ladies and gentlemen. It has been a pleasure being here with you. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for engaging with us. Please like and subscribe on whatever platform you're accessing this podcast. Send any feedback. We'd love to hear from you. With a lot of exciting things coming. We're getting a Patreon going. The website's up and running. So please continue to come back, and we'll see you soon. Peace.
Hey, thanks for coming.
Yeah, I'm living this life with a different attitude. Don't flip, don't trip, keeping up the good mood.